Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. All right. Excuse me. Before we begin, announcements. If you're interested in booking a 2024 yearly forecast reading, that is happening right now until about the first week in February, roughly around that time, early February. All right. Again, it is thick right now. What I mean by that's extremely busy right now. A lot of people are booking them, so make sure you at least a couple days in advance or more, because we're probably a few days out, roughly, give or take. So again, if you're interested in booking a 2024 yearly forecast reading, go ahead and shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Send you information on how to book that reading or any other reading that I offer. Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, shadow work readings, deity readings, you name it, Egyptian oracle readings. Shoot me an email and I'll send you that information on how to book a spiritual reading or consultation. Also, keep in mind, I put out yesterday the final class of 2023, the 2023 end of the year 2024 prophecy class. That will take place on Friday night, December 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what I'll be doing in that class, I'll be recapping the 2023 year. I'll also be talking about what we need to prepare and look forward to and expect in 2024. I'll also be doing quick on-the-spot readings for people in the room. I usually don't do that. I'll be doing that and communicating whatever the spirits have in store for us in 2024. All right. So don't miss that class. If you're on Patreon, and the way to sign up for the classes, there's two ways to participate in that class. If you're a Patreon member, you're good to go. You'll have access to the class. If you're not, you can sign up. The information on how to sign up, register, and pay by either PayPal or Cash App, that information is on the Primordial Chaos 9 Instagram page, all one word, Primordial Chaos on Facebook. It's also right here in the community section on YouTube. All right. If you want to sign up for the classes that I do offer, I offer a variety of different classes, a lot of ongoing ones, over 3 years worth, archived on the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page. Tier 3, that's what you want to join. That is found at patreon.com/Beniti. BANITI, Tier 3, that's the tier you want to join. That will give you access to all the classes. It doesn't just give you access from the day you join going forward. You get access to everything in the archives going back over 3 years. Again, the Patreon classes include, ritual work, group exercises. I go a lot more in depth on the Patreon and talk about things I wouldn't talk about openly on YouTube. You have over 39 group rituals also archived. Everything is archived on the Patreon page. All the ongoing classes are they're labeled and in chronological order. So it doesn't matter if you joined 3 years ago or today, you will be able to take all these ongoing series classes in the order that they were put out. And you can do that on your own time, at your own pace. That's the beauty of it. So all you got to do is, when you sign up for the Patreon page, just go to the collections page, and you'll see all the classes there archived. So if you're looking to take your path to self-mastery to that next level, check it out. Patreon.com/Beniti, BANITI. 7th annual Journey of the Black Adam Conference, October 2024. We'll get more on that to come as we get into next year. Check us out on Instagram, as I said, Primordial Chaos 9, Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook, and right here, obviously, Primordial Chaos on YouTube. Don't forget to check out the podcast, Primordial Chaos, which is available on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, etc. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the direct link to the Patreon page to sign up for classes, all of that is in the description box of this video. All right, you see the title, Erzili Dantor. Erzili Dantor, one of the Vudon Loa, right? As you know, my background, part of the core of my central background comes from a lot of those systems, be it Ifa, Vudon, Palo, etc. I don't practice it anymore in a traditional way with all the religious rhetoric, but I just want to reiterate, as I've done classes and videos on this over the years, you can still work with those systems in your own personal way, creating your own rituals and work. Now, as I've said also in those classes over the years, the traditionalists will tell you, you can't do that. No, that's not what you're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. This is the rules, the regulations. That only applies if you are bound to a traditional house under traditional godparents. And yes, as I've said before, when you belong to those traditional systems and you belong to a house, you must follow the rules and the regulations. And that's why I don't encourage anybody who wants to be on the left-hand path of the occult and wants to, be on that path of apotheosis, self-mastery. You're not going to be able to do that belonging to a traditional system like that. Having said all that, which I'm not going to focus too much on that, because I've addressed that before in the past, and that's not what this video is about. This video is about Erzulie Dantor, a great female goddess Loa that I first probably connected with back in the late 90s and have done work on and off. Haven't done anything recently with her in the recent years, but something recently happened, which is also the motivation for shooting this video. So, as you know, I like to do spiritual baths at least once a week. Usually I do it on a Sunday. It's just my way of kicking off the week. I tend to my altar. I do some ritual work. Friday and Sundays, 2 key days for me. So, out of nowhere, I just got this inclination that this past Sunday I'm talking about, which it was, that I just felt the urge to do an Erzulie Dantor bath. I don't know why. I had the ingredients. I had one that I was going to prepare a little while back. I never put it together. So I said, you know what? Just the intuition was strong. It was clear. So I created the bath. I get in the bath. And from the moment I get into the bath and then overnight into the next day, I had a lot, and it's personal, subjective, but I had a lot of personal visions and messages with Erzulie Dantor. And I want to kind of break down the connection with male and female practitioners. But my messages were, if you are a male practitioner, let's run through that first. Okay. First of all, the basics about Erzulie Dantor: she protects women, seriously loves and protects women, especially those women who are abused. She protects prostitutes. She does have an affinity and a love for lesbian women too. Protects children. She's a great protector, one of the great protective spirits. Now, she has other attributes. She can clear roads. She can do works if you need something destroyed or removed. She has multiple purposes, but one of her main things that she's known for is various forms of spiritual protection, right? And a lot over the years I've connected through her with that, and through her what we call divine feminine energy. Now, her relationship, how she connects with male practitioners, one, like some other female archetypes or deities, if you are a male practitioner and work with Erzulie Dantor, you must have a good relationship and a respect for women. Okay? If you don't, and say you're an abusive person to women in your life, that can go south on you real quick. Okay? But myself, being raised by women my whole entire life, as I've told you guys in the past, I have 3 sisters. My mother, my father was, there, but he was so busy working all the time. But I was raised pretty much by 4 women. Okay. Well, my younger sister, I kind of tended to her, but I was around that feminine energy all the time. But as I've said also in the past, the type of feminine energy that my sisters and my mothers embodied wasn't that weak, girly girl energy. They were strong, feminine women. So I've always had an utmost respect for women, period. Even now, even growing up as a child, a teen, an adult, and a grown fucking man, I've always had an affinity and love for the sexual energy of a female, right? Because females have a certain nature and energy. And as you guys, most of you that know me, I'm probably around more females than I am males. I just vibe with the energy better. And I'm not just talking about the external things, right? People always focus on the external things and the issues of people's personality and characters and behaviors and traits and things of that nature, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that spiritual energy. In essence, it's different. And it's like that for a lot of people. Sometimes individuals gravitate more towards male energy. Some gravitate towards female. Me, it's more female, feminine energy. Always has been. I keep a select group of dudes or brothers or men in my circle, but it's very limited, right? So I've always looked deeply rooted in my connection with that in relationship to Uzili Dantor. And because I've always had that affinity for the feminine energy, she has definitely, sent blessings over the years. Now, some of you may be familiar with her in her synchronized form here in America as Santa Barbara Africana, right? Which, if you've ever been into the Botanicas and you see that blue candle or what appears to be a black woman, the Madonna and Child image, you'll see it on a blue candle. This is how she is syncretized. It could be in Dominican voodoo or voodoo or Puerto Rican Sansei or voodoo. When you're dealing with the 21 divisions, this, that, and the other. As we know, even in Santeria, we know a lot of things were synchronized with African spirituality, infused with some Catholicism and Christianity concepts, etc. That's how it was given here in the West, because as we know, when a lot of the slaves from West Africa were brought here by a lot of the Portuguese slave masters, they were forced to accept Catholicism, and they synchronized their African gods were synchronized with who they could connect with Catholic saints of the Catholic Church, right? So this is why you'll see also the traditional Saint Barbara or Santa Barbara in Catholicism linked with Shango, because there's the color red, the sword, the warrior aspect. So they found whatever attributes they could connect with their gods in relationship to what was forced upon them, and this is how they would continue to worship or to connect with their spirits or gods. Uzili Dantor's legend is unique. She was very knowledgeable. She gained a lot of wisdom, and as some of the legends and the stories go, she was a threat to the powers that be, so her tongue was cut out. And this was to silence her, and this is why some of her devotees who get mounted or possessed by her, she makes a clicking sound with her tongue. If those that know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been at a spiritual gathering where they bring her spirit down or she's mounted on a devotee, sometimes the possessed devotee will also make that clicking sound with their mouth, right? She's a very powerful spirit, and as I did this bath and the next 2 nights after, I had a lot of visions and dreams that, she reached out to me. And again, this is personal, subjective. I don't ever pass along messages as if I'm saying it's for a whole. I'm sharing this, and I'm sharing the knowledge with you. So if you're inspired to look further into Uzili Dantor, by all means, knock yourself out. But she reminded me, as on and off, as I said, as I've connected with her spirit since the late 90s on and off to the present. Over the last few years, I haven't really done much with her. I do have a representation of her on my voodoo altar, but one thing she made clear was to get an icon to represent her, consecrated, which I did, clean, consecrated, and she wanted an offering of her blue candle and to establish meditation and communication with this female energy, a spirit. Now, what we do on the left-hand path, you can look across the board, Because people will always do this. Oh, I see some attributes and elements in Ozili Dantor. I might see a Lilith or this, that, or the other. Yes, you're going to see that. Yes, a lot of these energies are synchronized and they work and they connect together, no doubt. So when you make that connection, you work with it. You embrace it. 100%. You don't need to have somebody outside of you validating. You can't go to a traditionalist that is stuck in their method of traditional spirituality. They're not going to confirm that for you. So don't even waste your time. Don't even bother. Okay? So it's very important. You make that connection on your own and you come to that conclusion on your own. But in these last few days in receiving communication with her, now I did do something a while, it was last year sometimes. It was part of a sacred feminine spiritual working. And there was several different female archetypes in that working I did last year. And Ozili Dantor was one of them. And she brought that to my attention because I had thoughts at that time of establishing or creating some spiritual work with her. But again, I got sidetracked. Things just happened and it wasn't intentional. So this kind of was her after getting that strong intuition to do that bath Sunday. And then all of a sudden getting these clear messages. I said, you know what? Yes, it's that time. And this is the beautiful thing when you're linked in on this path. People always want to know, what should I do, or how I should be doing it, or, when I should be doing something, why I should be doing something. All of those things, when people, get locked into or get a little bit lost and confused on why, the who, and the how. When you are linked in on the path, your spirits will communicate to you when it's time to do something. Okay? It starts to happen. It starts to happen naturally. Okay? It starts to happen where you get these clear messages and you start to understand, now I'm locked in. When things start flowing in harmony, you kind of know. And this is why I explain to people, there's no real way you can tell or explain in words. How do you know when things are clicking? How do you know when things are working? How do you know when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? That's a famous one line everybody always says. How do I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? You can't, somebody outside of you can't really clarify that, right? Obviously the results is a huge factor in that, right? That's number one. Getting results. If you're getting results, then you're doing the right thing, right? If you're not getting results, and you still got feelings of uncertainty, well, that's a whole nother story. But the point is, you will know, okay? You will know the right time, the right place, and in the moment it comes clear. So all this with Ozili Dantor came very early and clear for me. And it reminded me of when I did that sacred feminine working last year. The thought, it's like that same thought, almost the same way I experienced it last year. It replayed in my mind. So I was like, all right, this is where we at. This is what we need to be doing. So, long story short, I decided to reconnect. I set that stuff up. Now, as I said, I had a image and a representation, but not an icon. So I put that on there, and I started this past week with the intent to now reconnect. We're connecting with the power of her feminine energy. Okay. Now, I would suggest to some of you female women who may be going through bad relationships, maybe going through different forms of abuse, or struggling with your sacred feminine energy, Ozili Dantor would be a really good spirit or archetype or goddess for you to connect with. And I would encourage you to look into what she is about. Again, if you're interested, this is not forced upon you, but she can be a very helpful and impactful spirit to somebody that might be in need of connecting or getting the awareness of why they might be struggling with their path. Now, again, as a male practitioner, again, I want to be clear. Don't go fucking around and messing around and you start doing work with a Azili Dantor and you are a womanizer or an abuser, because it can get ugly. But men, she tends to really bless men too, who respect women, who got a great connection with the women and the females in their life, the whole nine. So if you're a male practitioner, and I can only speak from my experience as being a male practitioner, she can bestow a lot of gifts. And when I say gifts, open a lot of paths and roadways for you, whatever you want to call it. Me, more so in this time, some of the things that she made clear to me, because of a lot of shit that's going on out here in this world, which I'm going to talk about at that more in depth at the end of the year class. But she sent that protective energy to protect yourself. And when I say protection, I want to be clear, to protect yourself from falling off your path, from getting sidetracked, from falling into the traps of certain things, and where sometimes we don't think it can happen to us. I've seen it happen to seasoned practitioners. But one thing she warned me, there's a lot of energy out here, a deep influx of energy, good and bad. And you got to stay grounded in your spiritual power. Okay? Important that you stay grounded in your spiritual power, because it's very easy with everything going on out here now to get distracted. She made it clear it's important you make wise decisions, critical decisions, and always think about, and I tell a lot of people this when I have discussions with them, whether it's in readings, this, that, or the other, it's always about making decisions about how they're going to impact you long term. So this is all the inner awareness. Now, one thing Azili Dantor can do is, maybe you're doing things destructive to yourself you're not aware of. Let's just say if you're a woman and you're finding excuses to stay in an abusive relationship, she can give women the strength to work their way out of that and into a better situation. Okay? So this is the understanding that we need to have in regards to this and to her power. Okay? It's a very beautiful energy. It's a very powerful energy. But Azili Dantor is also one of those feminine spirits that if you piss her off, if you get her angry, you will see the rage of a female you've never seen before. Okay? Now, I also want to reiterate real clear before I wrap this video up. Also keep this in mind. Regardless of what the traditionalists tell you, when you're on the path of self-mastery, you create systems that work for you. People will tell you in that traditional system, oh, you can't do this, or as I said earlier, you need to go to quote unquote somebody who is certified, or this, that, and the other. That's not true. Okay? That's not true, because if your intent is sincere and you connect with these spirits correctly, and you do it, and your intent is clear in the sense, and you're coming from a mode of respect, you can work with them any way you see fit. Okay? However you see fit, that's entirely up to you. It's not mandatory to do all of that traditional stuff unless you're in a traditional state of mind, trapped in a traditional house or system. Yes, then it is. But I just want to make this crystal clear. Okay? So it's up to you. Right? Look, over the years, so many people have reached out to me about, oh, you think I should get initiated? Again, I want to reiterate this. I don't tell, in a traditional system, I don't tell people if they should or they should not. If you're asking me from a neutral perspective, would I suggest it? More than likely, no. Not if you're on this path. I don't suggest it, because a lot of people are not clear on what it involves. That's my point. They're not clear on what it involves. And what tends to happen is, when they're not clear on what it involves, right, they get more infatuated with the idea of being initiated than actually understanding what the initiation is about. Okay? So I have to be clear on that. I put that out there because please don't email me about, do you know somebody that can, I want to get initiated, this, that, and that. No, I don't do stuff like that. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Right? If you're really interested in pursuing that, you're going to have to check avenues of where you are locally. Right? But anyway, so whether you could be working with the Voodoo system, and I'm going to be, in some of these videos, I'm going to be kind of touching, on those things as far as, how you can work with them from a non-traditional system. I just want to be clear on that. It can. And I've done videos on it. Now, the best way to get clarity on that, I would really suggest that you get into the African witchcraft and sorcery class, because that's the class where I show people how they can do these things. Okay? That's what we discuss in there. We give you the history of the traditional aspect, and then we show how you can work with it from an occult left-hand path perspective, if you choose. It's not mandatory. It's up to you if you choose. Okay? So again, the choice you make, again, that's completely up to you. But as you know, as you've seen, I do have a working Voodoo altar that I do work with in my own special, unique way. Again, I've left all those traditional systems. It's been years now. I don't mess with it on that level. I've been out of that game for so long. That's why people, when call me or contact me, and they tell me the prices now of doing rituals and getting initiated, then when I did it, I shake my damn head, and I'm in awe of how fucking bananas that shit is. Because when I did it, it was a third of what they're charging now. It's quadrupled in certain cases. I hear crazy stories. But like anything else that gets corrupt, it becomes a money game, right? It's a money game now. Let me see how much money I can make off of this. But anyway, this is why I say don't worry about being part of some group, Mickey Mouse Club or organization or this, that, or the other, just for the sole fact of having a title. And I can tell you it's not cracked up of what you think it is, because you're going to find there's a lot more you're going to be desiring to learn. Okay? And that's going to happen. Okay? Bottom line. So I show people how to work. If you're interested in that class, that's the purpose of that class. We show you how to work with these systems for that particular reason. Okay? But I can tell you this. I can only describe it in my own words. Whatever it is you do or do not know about Orzili Dantor, and you're interested, again, I'll peek into it. Okay, so I will be starting some work with her for this year, going into next year, because this was something personal for me, communicated to me, was something, that I probably should have followed through on at the end of last year. But that's just how it works sometimes. Whether it's Orzili Dantor, whether it's the Samdis, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in some upcoming videos, the Gay Days, the Petro, or the Radha Loa. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's a connection there. There is a connection also to what we do. Okay? And I'll show you. There's methods. We've done rituals over the years, on and off, connecting that energy for those that have a connection to it. And again, remember, this path embodies all of those things. All right? So again, we'll finish up with this. When you're working with Orzili Dantor, she can be a very powerful spirit, but just make sure, as I described, being male and female practitioner, make sure your intent and your approach is correct. Because don't underestimate the wrath of Orzili Dantor. She's not to be played with. She's a very powerful energy, but she can do amazing things for a practitioner when you connect with her, okay? All right, having said that, I'm going to end this video there. All right, if you need to reach out to me for a Spirits of 2024 Yearly Forecast reading or any other reading, emails in the description box here, khnum19@gmail.com. Mark your calendar down for the 2023 end of the year 2024 prophecy class. That'll be going down Friday, December 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in signing up for classes, the way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. And tier 3 is the tier you want to join. That will give you access to all of the private classes. I do 3 a month and the group ritual. All right, the link to the podcast, my contact email, the link to the Primordial Chaos page for classes, all the information you need, whether it's for any of those things or to reach out to me, all of that is in the description box of this video. All right, other than that, it's going to do it for me on this video. Infernal blessings, and we will talk soon.